It's way past time I dispense some indiscriminate justice!
G'day ladies and gentlemen, I am Duckville, you are some random viewers, and I am going to be casting here today a match between Griefer, the red Zerg over here at the 3 o'clock on Metalopolis, and his opponent will be nGenPhoenix from the nGen clan, pretty big clan over in the C server, and they have very good players, always making the top 200 in the C server. So this should be an interesting game. We do have another game of Griefer up on the channel from this MC Internet Gaming Tournament, which took place in the middle of April, and this was in the group stages, I believe, and we'll see what comes out of Phoenix today, and of course from Griefer as well. It looks as if there is not going to be any cheese from these guys at all. In fact, that's one thing I've had a look at in all of these replays that I've casted from this tournament, and actually some that I didn't. There are actually relatively little cheese from, especially the Protoss players, which is kind of funny. But there are also a lot of Zerg players. So you know, if you're in Melbourne, Perth, or Auckland, and you want to actually hit up some Zerg players, head down to the MC Gaming cafes when they have their tournaments, and you'll probably see a lot of Zergies. So good to see, of course, that the Zerg is getting a little bit more representation. Of course, in the recent patch, helped them out a little bit with fungal growth and a couple of other things. And perhaps in the next upcoming patch, with the massive change of spore crawlers being able to root in 6 seconds instead of 12, we may see a lot more Zerg players, because we all know that is a majorly important buff. Anyway, enough of the sarcasm, but we're going to see what happens here. It looks as if we've got a standard sort of speedling opening here from Griefer. He's just going to make sure that he has some map control, of course. You want to make sure standard sort of thing from Protoss is to actually come here and stop this natural. That may actually be why Griefer was actually just going for the spawning pool first. We do see a lot of the pros just flat out go straight speedlings a lot of their games instead of going straight for the natural, of course. It does sort of hinder your economy a little bit if you don't actually get the natural expansion up and running, but of course with this problem of a probe like this doing some breakdancing over on the natural expansion, you can't actually get it up straight away when you would want to anyway, so you're going to need to get a spawning pool to get some Zerglings out to kill the inevitable pylon, which we may see here from Phoenix. Meanwhile, over here at the Protoss base, we've got one Zealot coming out to be a badass bouncer at the front door of the Protoss base, and 2 gas are going to be up quite soon. The second one is just about half done at the moment, but a drone has spotted everything that's going on for the moment. Of course, there's no stalker out to kill that just yet, and as we can see here, Phoenix has actually denied this hatchery from going up just at the moment. Next step is to get a quick pylon down before the probe dies, but he doesn't actually get it, and this drone will have a sweet time actually getting this hatchery up. It's as we can see, it's rolling along there. Speaking of rolling, we've got evolving metabolic boost on the way from Griefer. He's got a queen out to pop some queen juice into the hatchery, and as we can see, a stalker is about to pop out. Now, stalker first from a Protoss player instead of a sentry can signal that it's not going to be a standard 3-gate sentry expand. It can signal things like a 4-gate, or sometimes, as we can see, a Stargate expansion. So it's something to keep an eye on if you're a Zerg player and your drone actually gets killed by a stalker instead of a sentry. Just keep that in mind, of course, because it can mean that the expansion won't be going up perhaps as quickly. I'm not saying it's a guaranteed fact that they will be getting a Stargate or they will be doing a 4-gate or something like that. It's just something to keep in mind if you don't see that sentry first. Now, we do have a sentry finally walking in here from Phoenix. He's going to get that up soon, and he will be able to expand at some point, I would assume. We do have this probe sliding out. He's all butted up. He actually slid right through that zealot at the door, and the hatchery is now up. Griefer is going to start popping some drones. I would assume he does indeed start 4 drones. He's going to probably pump out a lot of them because he knows that Phoenix is not really doing anything too fancy just yet. As we can see, an Overlord has actually gotten inside the base, is trying to scout out what is going on, perhaps looking for the 4 gates or perhaps something else. He's not actually going to see the Stargate, which is over here. No, he does not actually get in range of the Stargate, sort of missed it by about that much. He was sort of just that far away from actually seeing it. But a Void Ray and a Phoenix will be coming out. Phoenix living up to his name, getting a Phoenix just to be cool. and we will see probably some very cool Void Ray harass, which I love to see. I love actually seeing it, but it looks as if Phoenix may be just doing some very light harass, probably not getting anything else other than this extra Phoenix, which is just about to pop out. No, there's nothing else queued up, so I would assume we're just going to see the Void Ray, which is halfway across the map now, and a Phoenix, and they'll probably go in, try and pick up the Queen, and pick off the Queen as best as possible. Now, Griefer has responded to this potential harass by getting some spine crawlers. He may have actually thought that it was actually going to be a 4-gate, because this pylon is here and there was no natural expansion, but as you can see here, Phoenix has already gotten across the map with a Phoenix and with a Void Ray. This is going to be really annoying to say that constantly. And he's actually going to take out one of these Queens. This Phoenix is going to need to be very careful. It doesn't actually take too much damage. The Void Ray is fully charged, however. The Phoenix is going to go down. The Void Ray is starting to take damage as well as second Phoenix comes across. You might want to lift up this other Queen over here if you can. That'd be great, but it looks as if he's a bit busy microing back at his main base. The Void Ray goes down. This second Phoenix may be dead. No, he's actually going to get away quite easily. So, some decent harass there. Killed I think a Queen and perhaps one spine crawler of those very much overproduced spine crawlers there from Griefer, but better to be safe than sorry, of course, and that Queen is a bit sorry that she's not safe because she got picked off quite easily. But it looks as if the that attack was obviously just there to actually make sure that Phoenix could get his expansion down without too much pressure. So as you can see, we do have two Phoenix out for the moment. He's going to be scouting around the map and picking up whatever he can. There may be some overlords he may be able to pick off, but I don't think there'll be too many because they are starting to hang around the base, of course. Once there are two Queens or more, I think no, there's just the two Queens for the moment. But the Spore Crawlers are up, which will help in defending the overlords from any Phoenix that do come through. Now, doing a good job is Phoenix here, just running around with these Phoenix. It's getting really crazy saying Phoenix all the time. Anyway, running around scouting, making sure that he's picking up any of the bases that Zerg may try and take. And as you can see, back at his own base, he's actually doing a good job of probing up at the moment. He's sitting at 39 probes to the 43 drones of Griefer, so he's certainly doing a good job keeping up. He might want to transfer some of these guys over because the Natural is now completed doing a good job switching some of those over. Quick trick you can do, of course, is to, when you grab your probes and you're transferring them over, click onto the assimilator and then shift left click on 3 of the drones and you'll let go of 3, click the rest onto the minerals, and then you'll actually get 3 going straight into the assimilator and the rest onto the minerals. So as you can see, Phoenix had to actually manually select that to get them across, but it's just a little quick tip you can use. It obviously doesn't affect the game too much, but it is something to keep in mind. Phoenix is still scouting around the map with these flying units that have a funny name that sounds like the name of the person that's using them. He's actually caught up in the harvesters now. Check that out. He's up to 46 probes to the 45 of Griefer, and Griefer has now gotten a third expansion up. So if he can get this third expansion and keep it relatively secure for the moment without putting too much expenditure into defending it, he'll be in a really nice position. He should probably power up some drones. He is doing that indeed. He's got 6 on the way, and we will see what his plans are. He is getting +1 to Carapace and the melee attacks as well, along with centrifugal hooks. I hate saying that word. And he will probably, as we can assume from that, be getting some sort of decent Baneling army. Now, we did see in some of the other games that we have had that Zerg has started using this very interesting Ling Baneling sort of army. We try and drop in some overlords, bring them in, drop in a package on top of the probes, and of course the probes try and open the package and explode, and it's actually a Baneling, so they get green goo everywhere. So that's an interesting tactic which has started to pop up every now and then. Not every game, but every now and then. Meanwhile, some Mutalisks have actually come out, so it's not going to be a straight Ling Baneling from Griefer. He's actually going to use these Mutalisks to try and pick off whatever units he can. He does need to be aware, of course, that those Phoenix are out on the map roaming around, causing all sorts of havoc. They do fly in, however, there is one cannon defending the mineral line, and it will be able to clear out these Mutalisks if they get too close, but it looks as if the Mutalisks are doing some sitting just off the assimilator there, and they will be able to pick off some of those probes that were there. There are now 4 probes inside that assimilator, unfortunately for Phoenix. Just one of the consequences of that sort of harass, when you actually pick off your opponent's gas harvesters, they may actually accidentally put too many in, or actually just forget to put extras in, and it will become a bit of a problem later on in the game. So to keep that in mind as a Zerg, if you are trying to harass your opponent, pick up the gas workers if you can, and of course that'll be a little bit annoying. But we do have these Phoenix still roaming around the map. They haven't actually found the Mutalisks just yet. They are indeed looking for them. As you can see, it'd be great to actually pick off this that little Zergling that's sitting here at the Zelnaga Watchtower. But as you can see, he's finally found those Mutalisks. We'll see a bit of micro harass here. Of course, the Phoenix can shoot while they are moving, so that's actually the brilliant part about having some Phoenix out to defend against mutas. But these mutas are actually getting into a decent sized clump. We actually have 9 mutas now, so if these guys stick together, they can probably easily take out those 2 Phoenix. But the problem is, if these Stalkers come along, we may see that Phoenix will easily crush through, and indeed he is very careful about those Stalkers coming through. Now, keeping an eye on what the army is for Phoenix. He's got a couple of observers hanging out here. He's got a lot of Stalkers, some sentries, a Colossus, probably a second Colossus. No, he doesn't have a second one on the way just yet, but normally you see Protoss push out with 2 Colossus, but as you can see, he's not afraid of anything at the moment. He's got these Stalkers. They'll be able to handle any of those Mutalisks that pop along, and he'll just need to be careful with the Colossus to make sure that he's very micro-intensive on that, keeping that around the Stalker ball to make sure that the Colossus doesn't die unnecessarily. Speaking of dying unnecessarily, we've got a probe that's just running inside the Zerg base. No, it's not. He's actually going to put a pylon down, proxy pylon to warp in more forces. Meanwhile, we do have Phoenix proceeding down to the 6 o'clock Zerg base, going to take this one out quite easily. This 4th base relatively undefended unless these drones pick up some weapons and actually have some boom headshots, but they are not going to. The Mutalisk, Baneling and Zergling force is going to be able to pick off this proxy pylon, but I don't know if there's just enough here. If the Colossus are microed well enough, not to mention if the sentries hold off the Banelings with some brilliant force fields, we will probably see a just a mass decimation of those Zerg forces once they roll in, and roll in they do. They are trying to come through. Zerglings running around the back trying to hold off any of those forces. Some force fields going down, but they're actually way too late. The Banelings, however, were not in enough of a decent size to actually pick off all of these Stalkers and the units that were coming through. Some Zealots are being warped in there. A secondary Colossus has just walked into the battle. He's a bit late to the party, but he's certainly coming into a party where it is going to be very fun for the Protoss, and it looks as if all these drones are being absolutely massacred here. The Mercy is not present in the Protoss forces. Of course, I suppose half of them are robots, so it's not going to be there at all anyway. But the Zerg is now down to 41 Harvesters. He's got to contend with 58 probes on Protoss side of the map, and this is not going to go well for Griefer. He's probably going to lose out to this force unless he can pull something incredibly amazing off, something Nest T style, the man who can defend against anything. If you give him a drone, he'll probably kill off 2 Colossi. But some force fields going down. Again, not the greatest force fields, but they certainly did do a good job of holding off some of those Banelings a little bit longer than they should have. But the Spine Crawlers are not going to be enough to fend off this attack here. Pushing through is Phoenix, and he's going to easily take this game now with very little Zerg forces coming in to reinforce this attack. The drones trying to retreat. Their home has been taken over by these strange, crazy blue robots, but that is going to be it. The drones now actually blocked off as well, so this hatchery is definitely gone, and this is going to be game. And there it is, GG from Griefer. So a good win there to Phoenix, pushing at a nice time with his +1 to weapons, and also he had +1 armor also done. So brilliant timing there to push in, and did a great job of actually holding off the Zerg attacking or defensive forces when they came through. So that is the end of that particular replay. Hopefully you guys have liked some of these replays from this tournament. I've put a link into the tournament details in the description, so if you want to go and grab the replays yourself and have a look. As I said, there are a lot of Zerg replays in there because there were a lot of Zerg players at the tournament, but feel free to jump in there. Let me know if you have liked some of these and you want to see any more. Let me know, I can grab some more. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time. Cheers.